Right then.
Charlie,
Right.
how are we, man? You
There we
good?
go. So, you went through the program. Well, we let's tell the story about us first. We met,
It's a random night, wasn't it?
random night in Bali when you were on holiday.
Yeah, back in March last year now.
Yeah. What were you doing for work then?
I was doing recruitment,
Yeah.
so just full time doing recruitment, training for my boxing matches outside of that as well. That was pretty much it at the time. Yeah,
And where were you living at the time?
I was living in southwest London. I was in Battersea.
Yeah. And what was that like?
It was all right. I'd moved to London from a smaller place, so initially it was a good bit of fun. Got on the London scene, made a bunch of good mates, but quite quickly I realised it was a bit of a trap, bit of the rat race, just the same routine. Luckily, because of training, I wasn't going out and drinking too much, but I saw a lot of that around me. And very quickly, you just kind of see the same people in the same cycle doing the same thing. And I thought, you know what? After I went to Bali, I was looking for a way out, and I knew London wasn't the place I wanted to be, but I didn't have that route out at the time.
Why were you looking for a route out at that time?
Why? Because I just couldn't see myself living there with that same routine. You know, in the rain, you step out your house, you spend 100 quid for opening your mouth and grabbing a coffee.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I couldn't see that being sustainable for much longer, but I was looking around, but I didn't know what the best route out for me was.
Right. Okay. Were you trying any other things at the time?
I mean, I was doing my boxing. I was making a bit of money from that,
Yeah.
but like realistically, I was more in the search. I knew there was things out there, so I was aware that there was a solution. I just didn't know which one was the best route for me to take.
Yeah. Yeah. So we met in a nightclub. Like I basically explained what I did and how I've been
Yeah,
helping
I was like,
people.
tell me how to get out here, man. I was like, I just want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you just reached out to me randomly a couple months later, I think.
Yeah. You went through the program.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find that?
It was brilliant. Like every module just flowed perfectly into the next stage, and like every module I went through, I felt more and more confident in my abilities. I already had a bit of a background in sales, which is why I went through it a bit quicker than I think most do. But I know that if I hadn't had sales experience, there was areas in there that would have given me the expertise I needed. So, you know, all of the training, the group coaching, you know, working alongside other people that are doing the course as well really helped me. And I mean, to top it off, for you to open the doors and set me up with interviews and point me in the right direction just set me up for success. So
What did you feel like was the biggest difference between traditional sales in recruitment and then what you're doing right now in like remote closing?
So, I mean, recruitment is an interesting type of sales because it's two-way. I'm doing the outreach to clients to get them to trust me to do their recruitment, and then I'm doing the outreach to candidates, and then I'm trying to sell both to each other and manage both processes. So, to move into high-ticket sales has been a really nice change because I'm no longer doing the outreach.
Yeah.
Everyone that I'm speaking to has gone through a funnel. They're booked in my calendar. They're pre-educated. They're warm.
Yeah.
All my role is to act more of a consultant or on a consultative basis to understand whether or not the product or service I'm offering is the right fit for them.
Yeah.
So it's not that typical Wolf of Wall Street, always be closing. It's very much understand where they're coming from and see if what I'm able to offer is the solution for that. And because they're booked in, they've gone through the funnel, more times than not, they are the right fit, which makes my life a lot easier.
Okay. And in terms of like skill set, what do you think's the most different thing about like traditional sales, the skills that you have to have in traditional sales, those foundations, versus the upskilling that it takes to like succeed in remote closing?
100%. I mean, it's a good question because I think everyone has this idea of your typical salesperson in their head, you know, shouting down the phone, talking about all the offers, all the benefits, all the solutions. Whereas, I mean, nowadays people have evolved where as soon as they have that kind of sales methodology put towards them, then they just shut off and put the barriers up straight away. So learning a more modern approach, which is really just more consultative and understanding their pains and then finding how your solution solves those pains and takes them to their desired outcome is a completely different framework.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that it doesn't even sound like you're selling makes your life a lot easier because those barriers don't go up. And at the end of it, you really just seem like you've found a solution for you both.
Yeah. That's for me the biggest difference between traditional sales. People come in from traditional sales and try to navigate in this industry, and they don't go as far as people who can actually put the time in and like
if they even
upskill.
start. I mean, like your typical salesperson, for me, if I came from recruitment, I remember I had the conversation with the agency you placed me with initially, and I just didn't have the right expertise. So you're like, look, you know what, let's go through the course together. Let's, you know, actually educate you on what needs to be done. And then it was just night and day, you know, even if you're confident in your current role in sales, whether it's, you know, working for SaaS or you're doing recruitment or something similar, trying to break into the industry of high ticket sales, that there's a very specific kind of character and skill set that comes with that.
Yeah.
And the course just set me up for success.
Cool. What would you say has been the biggest shift for you in terms of your lifestyle from, you know, the traditional sales job in London, living in the city? It's not all bad. Some people aspire to have what you had.
Yeah.
But why is your life so different now, and what's good about it?
It's a funny question, and it's right. I did aspire to have that kind of life in the city at one point. You know, commuting, have my suit on, in the office early every day.
Nice little gold watch on.
Yeah, exactly. You still keep a couple of things when you move out here, but really, I think if one word was to sum it up, it would just be the freedom. You know, I'm still driven. I still want to work hard, and I think it's important to not mistake this route for just an easy lifestyle. You know, happy-go-lucky, log on when you want.
Yeah.
I still work hard, but it's around my parameters now.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to wake up and go gym, have a breakfast and a coffee, and start my morning a bit slower, I can do that.
Yeah.
But then I crack on and I do my work, and one, I'm earning more than I was before, but I've also got flexibility, and I'm able to live in a country that's not got shit weather most of the year, and it is much cheaper to live. So it's like in London, I was fighting to keep my head above the water almost, just living a very regular lifestyle. And out here, I've got an amazing quality of life, but I'm able to save and invest and just develop as a person.
Well, when you say freedom, because obviously freedom means different things for different people. What does like freedom look like to you that you feel you've got now that you didn't have then?
I would say freedom of time, which is probably the most valuable type of freedom, and the flexibility to spend my time how I see fit. Whereas before, you know, even if you're working remote, if you're stuck in London, you've got to do certain things at certain times. You're not as mobile. I've got the ability to, if I wanted to pack up my bags and go to Vietnam and work from there tomorrow, I could. And then there's the monetary freedom as well. Even though I've got a basic, I've got an amazing commission scheme. So there's even more motivation for me to work harder and put those sales in. It's all well and good earning a bit of money in recruitment, but the processes are longer. And here I'm making commission every single week. And it's just straight in my bank.
So on to that point, what were you earning in London doing recruitment?
So I was on like a 38k basic, and then, you know, a good month I'd earn maybe $5,000 on top of that.
Okay. So you were still not far off like 100k a year even then.
I wasn't far off. I'd say I was below that, but I was still earning what you'd think would be a healthy wage, but it just didn't go far.
No.
I didn't feel like when I was younger, I was like, oh, it'd be nice to earn that much money. Then I got there and I was like, where is it going, man?
And comparatively, what's like your trajectory for this year? Like what are you expecting to take home this year in
This year, I mean, if I look at my on-target earnings, I think end of next year I'll be on $350,000. USD, yeah. Okay. And then end of this year, I'm looking for the high 200s, high 250, well maybe, about 250, 200k for this year.
So it's not far off double what you were earning?
No, it feels like I'm earning
5 times
5 times as much because everything's 5 times cheaper out here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there anything that you feel like if you were in your own shoes a year ago when we met, because it's about a year ago now.
It's crazy how time flies.
And like I presented that opportunity to you and you were in two minds. Is there any piece of advice that you'd give to yourself then to like push you over the line?
You know what? It's really weird because when you messaged me, it's like, look, I've got an opportunity for you. Straight away in my head, I was like, oh no, why would you do that? You've already got a good job. Things are stable. You're in London. But then I had to stop myself and be like, wait a minute. This might be an opportunity. What have I got to lose by just having a chat? And that conversation just totally changed the course of my life effectively. It's as crazy as it sounds. So for me, I would just say, look, make the same decision you made and move out here. And for anyone else, I empathize with that reliance on security and the dauntingness of wanting to take that step.
How do you get over that? Because a lot of people stay in that like craving security and comfort their entire life. Because it was a long time ago that I made that decision, about 10 years ago, so I can't remember that process. For you, someone who had always had that stable job, how did you overcome that in your mind?
So this is an interesting one, because when I look back at that decision I made, and I think about it quite often, initially when I had the opportunity and you reached out to me, straight away my mind started thinking about everything that could go wrong, all the work that's going to be required, the potential risk. But I wasn't thinking about the opportunity and the potential outcome. And as soon as you start shifting your mindset from what could go wrong and how much work is going to be required to the actual outcome and where you could end up and all the opportunities that are going to come from that decision, it makes it a lot easier. And because people like security, and we as human beings, we don't like change, we like what's familiar. As soon as you start opening your mind to the possibility of the good changes that can and will come, then you're more likely to achieve it. And it makes that first step a lot easier to take.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there anything that you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
I'd just say I'm really grateful, honestly, Charles. Like, I remember when I met you, and the amount of times that you're drunk and you meet someone on a night out, we thought we're best mates, and the next day you never speak to them again.
Yeah.
For us to keep in touch,
Yeah,
and for me to actually be able to move out here because of your help, I think says a lot. So.
And we've become really good friends as well.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
So thanks for sitting down with me today and going through everything, and hopefully we can help some more people together.
100%. Let's do that.